Hashtag Tommy posting the image of the radar gun that picked him up throwing 61 miles per hour with the quote, he's going to fall off a cliff. Tom Brady, look, hey, get your motivation wherever you can. Bottom line is he's going to be 42 fairly soon, and there's been no quarterback that has performed as well as he has that deep into his career. Do it. But go ahead. Didn't they do that last year? They perceived that everyone counted them out, even though no one counted them out. Like, who counts them out? We've learned not to count them out, but they still convince themselves that they're being counted out so they can get motivated to go out and win.
It's one of the genius moves by Bill Belichick. He somehow finds a way to get a 6-time Super Bowl champion quarterback and a 6-time Super Bowl champion head coach and the entire team and organization to feel like underdogs when they're not. And that's credit to them. I mean, getting that in the locker room and getting people to think that, you know, yeah, people are counting us out and we're still here, I think was their hashtag. That's a big part of the game. Motivating your team and keeping people hungry. You see it many, many times when a team wins a title and it's the, you know, disease of more and they fall off right after. The Patriots are not that case.
When they lose, when they win, however the last season ended, they close the books on it, forget about it, and they move on to the next season. We're going to move on to some of the props that we have for this morning. The favorite to win MVP this year is Patrick Mahomes, but Tom Brady, Carson Wentz, and Phillip Rivers are all 7-1 to win the award. Which of those three guys would you take to emerge with the trophy?
I'm going to go with Phillip Rivers. At 7-1, I'm going to go with Phillip Rivers for this reason. It's all about the narrative, and we have the narrative that Phillip Rivers has never won an MVP award. We had it last year where there was a little bit of, you know, that probably week 10-ish around there where people started saying, hey, is this Phillip Rivers' year to win an MVP award? He didn't. But now he goes into this year with everyone having that fresh in their mind that he has not won. So I'm always a big narrative guy. What's the story that people will glom onto? What's the story that people, because you can think that the MVP award is all about numbers, but it's not. It's about story. It's about primetime games. It's having that MVP moment. I'm going to put Phillip Rivers for 7-1 if I had to pick one of these guys.
Now, here's the thing. If I think that Carson Wentz is likely to stay healthy most of the year, I mean, for me, the 7-1 proposition is, can Carson Wentz stay healthy? Because if he does, I think he wins the MVP award. I think he ends up being spectacular. I think the Eagles are a team we're going to be talking about deep into January if he stays healthy. Am I willing to make that bet at 7-1 that Carson Wentz stays healthy? And I think I am. I think I am. For 7-1, I'll take it. 4-1, 3-1, maybe not. But 7-1, yeah. Because I think if he stays healthy, he does win the MVP because he was on track to win it 2 years ago. It's just that he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And if he's learned anything from the last 2 years, he's going to avoid some of that contact, and he's going to be able to play through December and into January. Of course, by January, it doesn't matter. Regular season MVP, if he gets through Week 17, I think he's got a good chance to win it because I think the Eagles will be really good, and I think he'll be really good, Big Cat.
That's a terrible pick. That's an awful pick.
Okay,
I would
well,
not
mark him down. Mark him down and let's see.
You think right now, sitting here, June 29th, that Carson Wentz is going to play 16 games? You have to play 16 games to win the MVP, I would say.
I think I'll take 7-1 odds that he plays 16 games. So I think if he does, he'll win the MVP. I think he's good enough that if he plays all 16, he is the MVP. Let's figure out some sort of friendly wager where that it hinges on Phillip Rivers or Carson Wentz winning the MVP. If it's somebody else, it's a push. So we'll figure out something to make it interesting. All right.
Okay.
Which non-quarterback has the best chance to win the MVP award? Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Le'Veon Bell, Alvin Kamara are all 50-1. Those are the best odds non-quarterback because it is a quarterback award. But who do you think has the best chance to win the MVP who isn't a quarterback?
All right, so you throw out Le'Veon Bell because I just don't think that's going to happen, especially with all the talk about Adam Gase not, knowing how he wants to use him, and that marriage already feels a little rocky. I'll throw out Alvin Kamara because Drew Brees is on his team. We talked about storylines, the MVP hype. I think he will get it over Alvin Kamara. I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey because it's down to Zeke Elliott, Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was fantastic last year. Cam Newton, who knows how his arm is progressing, his shoulder is progressing. It feels like a very underrated story that not a lot of people are talking about. Will he be 100% healthy? Well, guess what? If he's not 100% healthy, he's probably going to have to dump it down to his running back a lot. And Christian McCaffrey feels like when we talk about storylines and narratives, last year was kind of his coming out, hey, this guy has arrived. It takes a little bit of time for everyone to catch up to that. Now that they've caught up, he is ready to go for an MVP type season.
I agree with you that Christian McCaffrey could explode this year as a superstar. He had a sneaky great second season that doesn't get as much credit as it should. But I'm going off the board. I'm going Saquon Barkley. Because I think the Giants are going to realize their only chance this year is to run the offense through Barkley like the Vikings used to do with Adrian Peterson. Fully embrace Barkley. He's durable. He's effective. He can help give your old quarterback or your young quarterback some confidence by catching short passes and running with them and gaining false yardage that goes on to the quarterback stat sheet, running up the middle, just helping a bad team look better than it is and giving it a chance to be relevant. And you don't have to be a playoff team if Saquon Barkley has a tremendous performance rushing and receiving. He could set the single-season record for yards from scrimmage. That could be enough to be the MVP, even if the Giants are just on the fringes of playoff contention. So of those players, again, I don't know that I'm allowed to go off the board, but I'm going off the board and taking Saquon Barkley.
I mean, you're not allowed to go off the board. It's very clear what the question was because all these guys.
The question is,
Mike, do you see the little thing next to him? It says all 50-1 odds. Do you know that Saquon Barkley has better than 50-1 odds? So you basically said, oh, I'm going to take the guy who has a better chance to win MVP and look like a genius. That's not how it works.
The question is which non-quarterback has the best chance to win MVP? That's the question. Which non-quarterback has the best chance to win MVP?
But they're all 50-1 odds. The 50-1 odds is what the basis for the question. They all are even, so you're picking something that's all even.
All right. Under that circumstance, then, I'll take McCaffrey along with you, but I still think Saquon Barkley has a better chance. All right, which receiver has the best chance?
He's got better odds.
Which receiver has the best chance to gain 2,000 receiving yards in 2019? And I say that because Amari Cooper told us earlier this week his goal is 2,000 receiving yards. Is it him or is it someone else, Big Cat?
I'll go with one that's probably not, your Julio Jones and your Antonio Brown. How about Mike Evans? How about Mike Evans in Tampa Bay with, the new coaching staff? They're going to air it out. You know that they're going to air it out. So I'm going to say Mike Evans, Jameis Winston, a little bounce back year. Bruce Arians gets in there. The QB whisperer. Mike Evans, I think he had about 1,600, 1,500 yards last year, so he's knocking on the door. That's a couple good games away, or, a couple more catches each game away from getting 2,000 yards. I'm going to say Mike Evans.
That's exactly the guy I was thinking of. I thought you would say DeAndre Hopkins, who I think has a chance. But if Deshaun Watson doesn't have enough time to throw it to him. But look, last year he got sacked 62 times, and there were still 1,572 receiving yards for DeAndre Hopkins. So he's one to watch. But with Evans, the key number is this, 17.7. That's what he averaged per reception. That was the highest among these guys who are above 1,000 yards receiving. He only had 86 catches. At 17.7, you only need 112. I say only like it's easy to do, but Julio Jones had 113 last year. If you just get him the ball more, and I think Bruce Arians will, he's going to have more catches. He's going to have more yards, and I agree with you. Mike Evans is the most likely to get to 2,000. And I also think that part of the psychology for these football players, if they hear other guys talking about a goal like that, They say, hey, you know what? Screw that guy. I can do that. And I think that makes Mike, and he's a very quiet guy, but I think he'll be quietly motivated to go out there and do something historic, and it would be historic. Nobody's ever done 2,000 yards. All right, what's the safer bet? The Dolphins to make the playoffs? Or wait, let me start that over again. What's the safer bet? The Patriots to make the playoffs or the Dolphins to fail to make the playoffs? New England is minus 850 to make it, and Miami is plus 1,200 to make it.
Oof. I mean, I'd say it's about the exact same, right? I mean, the Patriots are going to make the playoffs and the Dolphins are going to miss the playoffs. I guess if I had to pick, the safer bet would be the Dolphins not making the playoffs, because you could make the argument that if somehow Tom Brady got hurt, that the Patriots could somehow miss the playoffs. But the Dolphins, there's nothing the Dolphins can do to make the playoffs in 2019, 2020. I want that quote to be thrown out there. I want the Dolphins to use that as motivation. Let's see if you guys can do it. My Lions quote from a few weeks ago was motivation for them. So the Dolphins have 0.0% chance of making the playoffs in the 2019 NFL season.
You know, here's the thing, though. In recent years, there has been a team or two every season where I have felt very confident saying that team has no chance. The Browns a couple of years ago, they were the Raiders a few years back, no chance of making the playoffs. And you always feel that little twinge of, oh, maybe I'm stepping into something here. I can't say it about the Dolphins this year because I think Brian Flores could come in and shake that team up. And it doesn't take many lucky bounces to take a team that really hasn't been nearly as bad as people believe and turn it into a contender. Somebody from that AFC East, other than the Patriots, is going to be in the mix for a wild card berth, and we assume it's going to be the Bills or the Jets. Maybe it will be the Dolphins. So you said it, not me. The safer bet is New England making the playoffs, though. All that said, I'd rather put my money on New England making it than the Dolphins not making it.
Hold on. You just said someone in the AFC East has to be in the mix for that wild card spot. That's just factually not correct. Why does someone
no.
Why? Why? In the AFC North, you have the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns. All those teams will be in the mix.
I misspoke.
Okay.
I misspoke. Sims and I have been debating between the Bills and the Jets, one of those teams we believe is going to be in the conversation. So I left that part of it out. The Dolphins can interject themselves into that conversation. All right?
No,
see, if Sims worked on Fridays, we wouldn't have these issues.
The AFC has a lot of good teams if you go through it. Like I said, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, the Titans, the Texans, the Jaguars might have a bounce back with Nick Foles. And then you go out to the AFC West, you get the Chiefs, the Chargers. And, you know, I think one of the Broncos or Raiders is going to be good. So to think that, you know, any of those other three teams in the AFC East will have anything to say about the playoffs, that's a big leap for me.
I just love it that the closest you'll ever come to acknowledging the jettisoning of Blake Bortles by the Jaguars is that they may have a bounce back with Nick Foles. I like that. It's progress.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.